Hello, good morning. Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Let's Talk Ghana here on Studios 2 Television. This is where we put Ghana first in all of our conversations. I am your host, Eric Mawina Egbert, and coming up on today's edition, the Clerk to Parliament has officially written to the Electoral Commission announcing a vacancy in the Assin North constituency. That simply means one thing, that there's a by-election there in the offing. On today's edition of the show, we'll get into the details of that letter by the Clerk of Parliament, plus get a reaction from the NDC, because on Sunday night there was a vigil in the constituency to rally support for the now former Member of Parliament, James Gyakye Quayson. And much later, we take you to Obuasi, where youth in the area besieged the district office of the Municipal Assembly to, amongst many things, demand that some 48 individuals who were arrested after they made their way out of mining pits belonging to Anglo Gold Ashanti be released. The military have taken over the town. We'll get into details of all of that. If you stay with us here on Let's Talk Ghana, we're back shortly. You're welcome once again to Let's Talk Ghana. This is the show where we put Ghana first in all of our conversations. Yes, every Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays on Studios 2 TV, on YouTube, as well as on Facebook. We're always delighted to hear from you, and so leave a comment for us in the comment section, and trust that we'll do the reading for you on our next edition of the show. We're starting off in the Assin North constituency. That's because there's a by-election in the offing. It follows a decision by the Clerk of Parliament upon Supreme Court's ruling to officially write to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, to announce a vacancy in the Assin North constituency. That letter is dated the 29th of May, and so that letter was written to the Electoral Commission on Monday. We'll just walk you through exactly what the details are and then begin to gauge the mood in the Assin North constituency. And so that letter is going to come up on your screens right now. And like I mentioned, it's addressed to the chair of the Electoral Commission, and then it's titled Occurrence of Vacancy in the Membership of Parliament. And so it's a short letter, so I'll just read it for you. And so in the exercise of the power conferred and the duty imposed on the Clerk to Parliament by Section 3 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, Amendment Act 1996, Act 527, I, Cyril Kwabena Otinsia, Clerk to Parliament, do hereby formally notify you of the occurrence of a vacancy in the Assin North constituency necessitated by the judgment of the Supreme Court dated the 17th of May 2023, and it goes, he adds the written number, issued in respect of James Gyakye Quayson in the case of Michael Ankoma Nifa versus James Gyakye Quayson, the Electoral Commission of Ghana and the Attorney General, and request you to take appropriate consequential action as required by the law. And it's signed by Cyril Kwabena Otinsia as a Clerk to Parliament. And so what is that ruling he's referring to? Because he makes a quite categorical statement that he requests you to take appropriate consequential action as required by the law. So on the 17th of May, as the letter captures, the Supreme Court of the country affirmed an earlier High Court ruling which annulled the election which brought James Gyakye Quayson to Parliament, because at the time he picked nomination forms to contest for the parliamentary seat in the Assin North constituency, the processes to have him renounce his Canadian citizenship had not been completed. But at the time he stood to contest for the elections, that process was completed and he was no longer a Canadian citizen. The court affirmed the High Court's ruling and subsequently ordered Parliament to expunge his name from their record books. It meant that the Assin North constituency did not have a Member of Parliament. And so now the clerk, as you've heard, Cyril Kwabena Otinsia, has written now to the Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission will then take this upon and then pronounce a date for a by-election. If we do a quick step back, after the ruling, the National Democratic Congress says that they have thrown fully their weight behind James Gyakye to be the candidate again in that by-election to stand to again win the seat for the NDC. While all of this is ongoing, the state, the Attorney General, has started criminal charges or criminal proceedings against James Gyakye. So it'll be interesting to see what becomes of the criminal proceedings and the decision by the NDC to present James Gyakye as a candidate. The process is yet to start, but it appears that the party is already beginning to do some work on the ground, because on Sunday night there was a vigil held in honor of James Gyakye to rally support for him. Here's what transpired.
Your Quincy, Sunday vigil night, the whole assembly, I am
And so those are indigents of the Assin North constituency on Sunday night, holding that vigil in honor of the MP, the former MP James Gyakye. The Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustapha Bandi, he reacted to all of this and the expectation on constituents in Assin North following the decision by the Supreme Court. I spoke to him. Here's exactly what he said.
The individual has a right to review or employ other judicial remedies to a judgment emanating from the Supreme Court. However, he does not even have that judgment in his hand. That will be the starting point of his review in the first place. As we speak, he has 14 days within which, after judgment, he can take any further action. He does not have the judgment. Days are running. The Attorney General has already written to Parliament requesting the Speaker of Parliament to expunge the name of Honorable Gyakye, a clear act of travesty of justice. They are tying his hand at his back, and an attack on the representation of the people of Assin North is an attack on the people. And so a vigil was organized by the people on the ground to demonstrate their displeasure and how sorrowful the act of government is. Government machinery is behind all these orchestrations, and to the largest extent, because of the way and manner Supreme Court is conducting themselves, it is as if they are in bed with the executive to manipulate this entire process to government's advantage to restructure parliament. And that is why the people of Assin Central are not happy, for which they organize the video.
Right. And so there you have it, the position of the NDC in all of the conversations in relation to Assin North, as you've seen it since that May 17th ruling. We'll keep an eye on this and bring you a lot more details as and when they trickle in. But we're taking a break. When we return, we are taking you to Obuasi in the Ashanti region. It's a mining town. We're mining gold for over a century. There's some trouble there as military have taken over. We're back shortly to get into that. Stay with us. You're welcome back to Let's Talk Ghana. This is the show that we put Ghana first in all of our conversations. It airs every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on Studios 2 Television. I am your host, Derek Mawinagbeta. Just before that break, I mentioned that we'll take you to Obuasi. Yes, because as at yesterday, the reports were that over 100 illegal miners were holding up in mining pits belonging to mining giants AngloGold Ashanti. Initially, the report suggested that they were trapped, but subsequent explanations painted a much clearer picture that these individuals were held up in the mining pits because they found illegal ways to enter the mining concession of AngloGold, and then the illegal entry routes were sealed, and so it was left with just one entry point to which they could come out and be arrested. These over 100 miners said they weren't going to come out because they didn't want to be arrested. 6 or 7, I should say, initially stepped out and they were picked up and handed over to the police. And 48 others subsequently, after being there for over 6 days, no food, no water, also decided to step out, and then they were picked up. And then this happened. The youth in the area besieged the Obuasi District Assembly, and it had to take the intervention of the Ghana Police Service to rescue the district chief executive for the area. Here's exactly what happened in the Obuasi area yesterday. Obvious scenes of anger by youth in the area who, amongst many things, are expressing misgivings about how mining has been ongoing for a long time. They do not have jobs, social amenities and the likes. And it's a conversation that continues to come up every now and then, how these communities where large-scale mining takes place benefit. The conversation has come up before, and now it does appear that it's coming up again because of the latest development. What for mining consultant said, well, Ashime, Anglo Gold Ashanti, beyond all of the taxes and royalties they pay, need to offer these residents some mining concession to allow them freely mine as well, so that it can bring an end to all of the controversy that continues to come up every now and then. That's his argument. Let's hear from him, and then we'll return shortly.
The story of Obuasi as a town and Anglo Gold is a very sad one, if I want to recount, because the amount of gold that has been taken out of that small town, and the fact that that town is still, suffering somehow from poverty. Mining has gone on in that small town for years, decades and decades, but nothing goes back to the people. So the people, knowing how rich, the land is, are always tempted to go and also, have their pound of flesh. It's unfortunate that it is happening this way. But you see, I always say that such problems have socio-economic dimensions. And until and unless we look at it holistically, we will be blaming these poor people for nothing. But, well, they have found themselves in that underground shaft. There is always an exit. Unfortunately, if they don't want to take it, they might be running a risk of losing their lives underground. So it's a choice for them to make.
The subject of encroachment of these multinational mines is one that has stayed with us for a while. It's not the first that these mines have been encroached in that particular area. The challenge for a lot of these residents is they see no other way than to mine for themselves, like you've mentioned. Shouldn't we be seeing a lot more action from the part of government with how far or how long this has persisted for?
Well, you see, there is an adage in Ghana which literally translated means that nobody holds a stick and allows a dog to come and bite it. So literally, they will use the stick to hit the dog and have their freedom. So that is the kind of situation they have there. There are resources underground. That country, community and its environs have been denied requisite development and economic activities that will make the people in that enclave, somehow economically free. They mine the gold and they take it away. And it's, the people are frustrated.
Right.
And they are hungry. And there are no jobs.
Right.
So we need to look at the whole thing holistically. And if it means that the Anglo Gold has to see the place solely for them to have their livelihood, some kind of negotiation will have to be entered into, and that has to be done so that there could be some kind of lasting peace when it comes to this type of activity.
Let us know what you think on the proposal. Do you hand over a mining concession to residents of Obuasi, or are you a part of the school of thought that continue to argue that the Obuasi township deserves a lot more than we're seeing in the videos that we've been showing to you? Because this is a town where mining has been ongoing for over 100 years. The entire city is virtually hanging. There's been tourist attraction sites. Individuals travel there to go and see the hanging city, because underneath it has been mining ongoing there for ages. And so really, is that a solution that brings finality to this back and forth between the large mining companies and residents in Obuasi? Leave a comment for us in our comment section, and we'll be glad to read it for you on our next episode of the show. We're going to end on the front of politics because, as you know, the governing New Patriotic Party has opened nominations for presidential aspirants, and so far, at the last count, 5 individuals have picked nominations to contest. They include most notable Dr. Ifri Akoto and the likes, and Ejako, the former energy minister as well. Well, yesterday, Fred Oware and Samia Uku, both former executives, national executives of the party, went to the party's office at about 10 a.m. to pick forms for none other but the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. And they spoke to the media afterwards, and amongst many things mentioned that they were going to take the forms to the Vice President. They did take the forms to him, and it appears the office of the Vice President has officially put out a video capturing all of those details. And so let's just leave that for you to see exactly what transpired when they took the forms to the Vice President.
We were warmly welcomed, and we went through the processes, and we finished the assignment, we paid for it, we've been given the forms, we've looked at it, all the information we believe is available, but here, on behalf of the delegation that you sent, I wish to formally place the document in your hands and later on.
And so there you have it. The Vice President, for now, is clearly in the running to want to become the next president of the country. He wasn't the only one who picked forms yesterday. Energy analyst Kojo Safwa Poku as well was there, picked forms, and expressed confidence in winning the entire poll. In other news as well, unfortunate 16 individuals, Liberians now that we're getting to know, died on the Cape Coast Accra stretch when the U-turn bus on which they were traveling collided with a tanker, a fuel tanker. A rather unfortunate 16 individuals, over 40 other bodies retrieved and taken to the hospital, with one rushed to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for urgent medical attention. It's not news that we'd like to bring to you, our viewers, but unfortunate as it is, that's the latest of the many things that continue to happen here in the country. That's our show for today, Wednesday the 31st, the last day of the month of May. We return on Friday with another exciting edition of the show, Let's Talk Ghana, where we put Ghana first in all of our conversations. I am Eric Mawina Egbeta. We meet again on Friday.
Studios 2 TV. The truth is here, in your eyes.